Hi, this is Jason coming to you with the second to last episode of Relive the Run, a multi-part series celebrating my run across America. 4 years ago, I ran over 3,000 miles across America, just under 2 marathons a day for a top 10 fastest crossing and the first ever by a blind person. I'm coming to you with daily lessons learned. Today's lesson is hanging on. And the reason why today's lesson is hanging on is today is the day that I eclipsed 3,000 miles running. And I broke up this run into 3 parts. The first 1,000 miles I called pain because it just hurt physically and mentally. The second 1,000 miles I called settling in because there I had gotten accustomed to what was happening and I had a lot of time for internal self-reflection. I grew a lot. And the last 1,000 miles I called hanging on. And the reason I called it hanging on was because when I got closer to the end, it got exponentially harder. What I found is you get closer to the end of a very difficult challenge or overcoming an adversity, things get harder. In your head, you start a countdown, you start thinking about what's going to happen afterward, and they're just kind of self-sabotaging. But what I realized is I still did it. I knew what was happening, but I still did it. And it was just about hanging on. Sometimes it was just believing and having hope. And hope is really what got me through that hanging on period. Intellectually, it may get more difficult. It's really not more difficult. It's just math. You're just a little bit, you're a lot closer. You could choose to look at it that way. What I found in the tool that I used really to overcome that hanging on deficit or sabotage was hope. And just hope and belief and faith that I would be able to get this done. I wrote a book about my run across America. It's called Running into the Dark. My second book, The Success Cycle, will be out in the summer 2020. Be on the lookout for that. I'm also a keynote and commencement address speaker, so if you need something fresh and different, look me up.
Our day looked like this. 5 a.m., the alarm went off. I put both feet into 2 ice buckets to numb my feet and bring down my swelling so I'd be able to stand and run. My mom, meanwhile, started feeding me. I had to eat every 15 minutes, 10,000 calories every day. We reloaded the van, drove to our starting point by 6:30 a.m. where I ended the day before. I got out, I started running. My 70-year-old mom drove the van up a mile, parked, and then froggered across the highway and waited with food and drink. I ran up, ate and drank, kept running. My mom froggered back across the highway, got in the van, drove up a mile, parked, and did the same thing. We did that leapfrog 50 or more times every day. We would end by 6 p.m. or 8 p.m., depending on whether I was feeling good or injured or running over mountains or through storms. We would drive to the nearest motel, sometimes 5 minutes away, sometimes an hour away. I would get dropped off, get in a heated Epsom salt bath, an ice bath, do first aid, whatever cuts, scrapes, bruises I had. My mom, meanwhile, would drive to the nearest town, regas the van, empty the coolers with the ice that had melted down, replenish ice, replenish food, do laundry, get us food for the night, drive back to the motel. We would eat, be asleep by 9:30. We did that for 60 days non-stop. No weekends, no days off.
I also coach individuals and organizations on success and resilience. Until tomorrow in our final episode, hang in there. You got this. This is Jason, onward.